After months and months, maybe even years of hearing how great Honor's line of folding phones is, I was lucky enough a couple of months ago to have Honor reach out and actually send me the Honor Magic V5 to review and cover here on the channel. And I posted my full review of this phone about a little over a month ago. And while that video was quite positive, there were quite a few things about the Magic V5 that kind of bothered me, things that were pain points for me, things that challenged my muscle memory because their approach was just different than what I was used to. Now, since then, on several different occasions, I've put my sim back into the Honor Magic V5, but usually only for a day or two because those things really start to irritate me again, and I just want to go back to a place that feels more like home to me. But that brings me to this article and accompanying video that I posted. Part of the thing I'm talking about here, I'm talking about the way that bias sort of affects the way that I cover phones and the content that I make, is something that I was referring to as phone privilege. It's this idea that when I use a phone like the V5 that forces me to swim upstream a little bit, since I have access to the Pixel 10 Pro Fold and the Galaxy Z Fold 7 phones that I'm just really used to, when that happens, rather than doing what a normal consumer would do and dig in and find workarounds and maybe even get used to those things, I have a tendency to just switch phones. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of re-review the Magic V5 with a different perspective. Now, of course, when I initially reviewed this phone, I put my SIM in here and I used it as my only phone for something like a week. But I have to admit to you guys, pretty quickly, there were several things that annoyed me to the degree that the entire time I was using this phone, I was really just thinking about when I could put my SIM into a different phone. I don't think I did a good enough job of forcing myself to view this as if it was my only phone, to really truly give it a fair shake. So that's what I'm going to try to do in this video. So one of the first things that I noticed when I went from where I had been most recently, which was my Pixel 10 Pro Fold, back to the Magic V5, is just how outstanding, like to a ridiculous level, the battery life actually is. I can get through the day pretty comfortably on my Galaxy Z Fold 7, not really a big issue. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold is definitely an improvement over that. The gap between my Fold 7 and my 10 Pro Fold is about the gap between the 10 Pro Fold and the Honor Magic V5. This thing is just an absolute battery champion. We're talking about going to bed, 6 hours of screen on time with 40% of my battery left. I could easily hit, 10 hours of screen on time with this phone. Right now, I've got an hour and 30 minutes. I've been out of the house for most of the day and I've used 21% of my battery, and that's not actually accurate because I didn't have the phone at 100% starting the day. I think it was like 92 or 93%. So that's just phenomenal battery considering how much of the day I spent with the thing opened up using this pretty darn large inner screen. That is just a huge thing about this phone that is fantastic. The battery is phenomenal. Something else that has really kind of stood out for me over the last few days has been the camera. And look guys, when I reviewed this phone, I told you that the camera was very, very good, but there were a few things about the camera, the way that it processed, that kind of put me off a little bit. And this honestly, I think is kind of like exemplary of what I'm trying to do in this video. We're going to try to settle in and dig a little bit deeper. And what I discovered was that if you go into your camera application and you use this little option down here, you can change between natural, vibrant, and authentic. I have been using natural. I think you can actually see this as I'm going through this. Natural is much brighter than authentic is. It's unnaturally bright. I can probably show you an example. This is a shot I took the other day with this, and this is just too bright for me. This is not what it looked like to my eye. They're artificially brightening up these photos. But when I switched over to this authentic mode, which kind of just darkened things up a little bit, kind of tweaked the colors a little bit, I found myself taking photos that I really, really liked. You got a nice balance of kind of a moody look to things. This is actually a 2x crop, and the details are very, very strong. I like the way that the colors look. They're a little bit kind of punched up, but nothing too crazy. You've got a shot like this, which again, it just kind of has the look of a fall day, which is what this was whenever I took this photo. Color reproduction, again, like I said, slightly punched up, but nothing too crazy. I think this is a really nice shot. And then this next shot of this flower, I think is absolutely fantastic. This might be my favorite photo that I've taken on the Honor Magic V5. And again, the detail is phenomenal. And then we got to talk about that zoom lens. This was something like almost 30x, and look at how much detail you still have. Like, you can read pretty much all of that text quite easily. We're zoomed in, I think it was between 25 and 30x. Absolutely insane. And then if you do want to push the zoom even further, this was like a 60x shot. And yeah, you can tell this was really, really zoomed in, but they do have this AI processing option in the camera app that will use AI to fill in the details and give you what it hopes is going to be a better shot. And that was the result of this, but there's one obvious problem. It gave this squirrel these unbelievable claws, kind of reminiscent of the Therizinosaurus, if you've ever seen that dinosaur before. Maybe a cross between a gray squirrel and a Therizinosaurus. Not really sure what's going on there. Ignore the squirrel. Look at the tree. Details are really, really crazy. So yeah, okay, your mileage may vary on the AI upscaled or AI enhanced photos. This is something Google is doing as well. And sometimes this looks amazing, and sometimes it does really, really strange things. It's literally using AI to create detail that was not captured. And as you can see, some strange things going on there. But nonetheless, the details are absolutely fantastic. The color reproduction, and even, the exposure to some degree with that authentic mode turned on. I've been really, really pleased taking photos with this phone for the last few days, and I think that I might have undersold how good the cameras actually are. Another place that this phone shines is with multitasking. And I've recently found sort of a workaround for something that did bug me a little bit. So I'd gotten really used to, on my Galaxy Z Fold 7, having an app open in full screen on the inner screen and doing a two-finger swipe in, the app slides over, you get an app drawer, and then you open up your second app. I'd gotten so used to that even when using something like my Pixel 10 Pro Fold, using the taskbar actually feels a little bit clunky to me now. If we open up just a random application, you have that option, obviously, to just use your taskbar and drag in a second application, but I was really missing that two-finger swipe in or a two-finger swipe down from a OnePlus or Oppo device. I really was missing something a bit more intuitive like that. But what I found is, if you swipe up and go to the top left corner, it goes into split screen. Top right corner goes into a floating window. But I can just come up here and do that, and not only does it automatically go into split screen, it shows me my home screen, which is great for that muscle memory. So then when I want to open up the second app, I just tap the second app, and there you go. You are in both. And then something else I've already told you guys that I love is the way that this handle works up here. I don't like that it's hidden behind the camera, at least on the right-hand side. But nonetheless, I can grab this app and just kind of throw it away and go straight back into this view where I can open up a second application once again. Taking a look here at Hurricane Melissa absolutely exploding in the Caribbean. If you live anywhere in this area, I'm sorry. Now, I still have been pretty much never doing more than 2 apps at a time, and the reason for that is primarily, if I'm being honest, just because I don't really like the way that this works. We'll just grab the Play Store again, and we'll bring this in, and you can add a third app, and this is cool, right? Like, this does work quite well. But, when you want to expand this, like you can on an Oppo or a OnePlus device, you can't click on your handle and expand. You have to actually interact with the app and then expand it. And then if you want to do another one, interact with that app and then expand it. And it just feels really, really kind of slow and clunky to me. I really wish that they would do something a bit more like Open Canvas or Boundless View. But nonetheless, 2 apps side by side, using that up and to the left gesture, throwing away applications like I just showed you, really, really good. And then something else that I really, really appreciate about, what Honor has done here in general is just how smooth these animations are. Moving these windows around like this. Everything is just so smooth. Now, you do kind of have to learn what to do, where to do it, and all these sorts of things. But all of this just, it looks so smooth. It's almost like Apple-esque, the way that everything kind of moves around. I think they've done a really, really good job with all that. Now, another annoyance that I was able to kind of find a workaround for is related to the camera app. There's this option in the camera app right here, and it's called motion sensing capture. Okay, so when that's on, you can't zoom in as far as you normally can. It caps you out at 10x zoom. It's doing something to try to kind of prioritize that shutter speed, capturing a photo more rapidly. I don't want to have that on. So I would turn it off, right? And then I'd go back into my camera. It's off, that's fine. But then if I would double click my power button to quickly get into the camera, it would turn itself back on. And I wouldn't realize this until I tried to zoom in. I would get frustrated, turn it off, zoom in again. But I did find a workaround for this. If we jump into our settings, just search double press and go to double press power button. By default, it's going to be set to launch camera only. But don't do that, because for some reason they think, hey, if you're having to rapidly get into your camera, you're probably taking a picture of something that's moving, so we're going to turn on this motion sense thing. We're going to turn that on to help you out. Well, I don't want that. Come down to open a specific app and then set it to the camera, and strangely enough, if that's how it's set and you double click the power button, it does not re-enable that setting. Just a strange little workaround, but it works. But unfortunately, try as I might, there are still quite a few things that drive me crazy about this phone. In fact, I posted something on Threads this morning. If we can load into this, where's my profile? There it is. I said that this is the best, most annoying phone I've ever used. And I can run through a series of things. And keep in mind, guys, I'm not saying that any of these are deal breakers, right? None of these are like huge, huge problems. They're just things that are annoying to me, and there are quite a few of them. So, okay, the notification quick setting thing, if you swipe down over here, it's going to show your quick settings. If you swipe over here, it's going to be your notifications, or of course you can just swipe down on this corner. That is just, it's one of these things that it's not what I'm used to. It's not what I want. I want to be able to combine these like I can on basically any other Android phone. Samsung has this split thing going on, but you can combine them, and I can't combine them here, and I find that to be really, really frustrating. When you're in your notifications, this is another, small thing. It's not a huge deal, but it's enough to annoy me. When I want to dismiss a notification, if I swipe this way, I can dismiss it. If I swipe this way, I have to do two things because they give you a settings and a trash can button. I can swipe again, I can click on the trash can thing, and that dismisses it. But again, not a huge thing, but I can't tell you how often I do this, and then I got to do it again, and I'm just like, why is that like that? On every other phone, you would just long press if you want to get into some sort of settings like this, which is what this option is here. Just do what everyone else is doing. You're changing things for no observable reason, and it's throwing me off. And kind of sticking in this area, if I were to click on one of these things, it's going to open up that app in full screen. Cool, great. But if I've already got an application open and I do the same thing again, now it's going to open it up in a pop-up window. And I understand the logic behind this because they're thinking you're already doing something. We don't want to, completely replace what you're doing, but no one else is doing this. No other OEM outside of these Chinese OEMs are doing something like that. And again, I just cannot get used to that. It throws me off, and I really don't like it. And maybe the biggest problem that I have with this phone is the vibration motor when it comes to notifications. I'm in the wrong section, sounds and vibrations, there we go. And it's just not enough. I have this phone in my pocket, and I'll pull it out after, an hour or so, and I will have bunches of text messages, emails. I have all these notifications that came through, and I never felt them at all. I do not have this problem on either of these other two phones. It's just too weak. It's barely there. It's so light that it makes me wonder how often it's just not vibrating at all. I would have no way to know the difference. Here's a brand new thing that I actually noticed while I was in the process of editing this video. This widget up here in the top corner is a widget for an app that I am developing. And notice how that line at the bottom is extending kind of outside the widget. I am not a proper coder. I'm still figuring these things out, but it's just weird to me. It's the same APK. Everything's the same. See here, it's constrained. It's inside the widget. Same thing on my Pixel. It's inside the widget. It can't go beyond it. Why is it on this phone It's the only phone. It's the only phone where that is happening, where it's going outside. I don't know why. I don't I don't understand. One more quick thing that I want to harp on this device is the fact that, part of the reason why the battery life is so outstanding is because, like a lot of Chinese OEMs, this phone will pretty aggressively close background tasks. It's not going to let things run in the background like other phones might. That can be good, it can be bad. You guys may have noticed that at all times I have these two apps sort of running in the background and we have persistent notifications here. This one is called Hydro Coach Pro, and it just helps me remember to drink enough fluids. I'm one of these people who maybe doesn't always realize when they're thirsty, and if I don't have something like this reminding me, I'll get through the whole day drinking like 20 or 30 ounces of fluids on a good day, and a few days like that, and I'm feeling pretty rough. This is like an essential app for me. I've been using this phone for maybe 3 days and I start feeling kind of rough. And then I notice, hey, I don't have Hydro Coach giving me notifications. If you don't go into your settings, we'll go down here now to show you how this works. If you don't go into that specific app, go into app info, go into power usage, and then launch settings and untoggle that box, this switch right here. If you don't do that, it's just not going to work. It's going to be there for a little while and then it's going to get shut down and you're never going to see it again. And then you're going to go 3 days without drinking enough water and you're going to feel rough. So it is, again, great battery life, but there are some little things you're going to need to do to go in to kind of make things work right. And then something I ran into the other day, I was making some changes to an application that I've been working on for the last 18 months or something like that. And so to make my life easier, I'm like, I'm just going to plug my phone in, use USB debugging, and when I do my edit on Android Studio, it just throws it over to the phone directly, installs it, fires it up all seamlessly, and I can see if the change I made is working well or not. That's what I do most of the time. I've got USB debugging turned on. I plug this thing in. I fiddle with it for like 20 minutes, and Android Studio just does not see this phone at all. And I don't know why. Maybe there's a driver I need to go download and install or something like that, but I just could not get that to work. So what did I do? I put it down and I grabbed my Pixel and plugged it in. It picked it up and I carried on. In the same vein as that, a lot of the time I capture footage using a program called Screen Copy. It uses USB debugging as well. I plug my phone in, and guess what? I'm going to have to go back into my settings and turn on USB debugging again because for some reason it just loves turning that off. So we've turned USB debugging back on. I heard it disconnect. I did not hear it reconnect, but you can see that debugging is running. And if I try to use this, here's my shortcut right here to Screen Copy. It's the wireless version, but you need to be plugged in to start it. We'll fire it up. Here it is beginning to run, and it does not detect a phone, and it closes. I've never been able to get Screen Copy to work with this device, which is why when you watch any content with this, it's me pointing a camera at the screen because it's the only option I have. Again, there may be a driver or something that I go download and that might fix it. And in the spirit of this video, trying to fix these problems rather than just tapping out, I probably should look into that. But it's just another little drop in the bucket. At the end of the day, Honor really has made an outstanding phone. I love some of the customization stuff, my little lock screen and things like that. I really love a lot of what they have done with this phone. The battery, the camera, the performance. It is such a fast, smooth, just buttery smooth animation. The hardware feels incredible. You hand this phone to anybody and you ask them, do you think this was an expensive phone or not? They're going to know right away this was a very well-built premium phone. The speakers are more than loud enough and they are oriented in a way that I love. Speaker here, which means stereo, stereo. It's the right way to do that. And again, they're loud, they're good speakers. There's so much to love about this phone, but unfortunately, it's a phone that I can't use consistently without being kind of annoyed. Guys, that is my re-review of the Honor Magic V5. If you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button before you go. I'll see you on the next one, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.